How about now? There we go. That's better. Still muted? A lot of people joining in today. Got 14 so far. And we have 7 minutes to go till the time. Let's see. Is everything going okay with the Retro Ronin hosting chat stuff? Let's see. I think she was supposed to host it or something. How does that work with the chat system? Do I have to keep 2 chats open? Do I have to keep the chat for mine and the chat for Retro Ronin at the same time? Let me check. Yeah, I think the chats are separate, which is kind of problematic. Alright, well, I'll try to tab back and forth so I can get everybody stuff. How do you implement the live loading of compiled C code? It is implemented with LVM JIT, which is like kind of a not LVM has like a bit of undocumented functionality to just-in-time compile code, and if you go in there, I don't think it's yeah, well, not LVM doesn't have very much documentation at all, but you can JIT code like directly to memory and then execute that code, and so that's what we're doing for that. But only 4 minutes until we get started. Been pretty good. We have had some funny art assets made since then. We had like a sandwich sword. It's totally ridiculous. But a neon sword? Yes, I got the rock block, and I checked it out just before I started the stream. It's pretty funny. Jansu finally fixed the rings, so we now have the spinning rings on the logo now. They were broken for a long time. No, I'm booting up a local server rather than connecting to the remote one. All right. So, what's happened in the last week? Well, there was that new drifting video released, which was pretty cool. Oh shit. I'm falling through the, well, let's see. See if I can get to a better spot. Funny, I wanted to show you slimes. There was a slime around here the last time I booted up the game. I guess I could just spawn one. Slimes are kind of funny because, like, they're not your typical thing, right? They just kind of they gobble around. But if you swat them with your sword, they flatten out, and then they do something unexpected if you walk on them. They just launch you in the air, which is actually supposed to be like a travel mechanism. Like if you strategically place them around, you could like get to places faster and stuff like that. But anyway. This is supposed to be the section of the game where we talk about the blocks that everybody made, so we'll start on that. Oh yeah, there's a new planet this time, trying to vary it up a bit, so it's pretty cool each time. This is the Floating Islands planet, I think, where there's like a double world. There's like an overworld and an underworld, and we can fly down to the bottom, or we can stay at the top. We can do whatever you want there. Yes, that's actually a pretty funny idea. I like that idea. Y2B Crazy was asking if you sucked up a slime with a Vox gun, if you could make it bouncy pads in midair. Pretty funny. Anyway, so the first block is pretty cool. This is, I believe, the companion cube. Somebody made a companion cube. Oh wait, I suppose I should go over how to put them in the game in the first place, right? But we'll get to that, I guess. First we'll build the companion cube. So we built ourselves a companion cube, which is pretty awesome. Other cool things is I'm just going. If you select nothing currently in the game, we have it programmed so that it just auto destroys any block that you point at, and so I can just click, 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 and just destroy them all. It is a pretty cool thing if you destroy blocks. You can, it like destroys it into its own voxels and then sucks back up into a. I'm too close. It's sucking me. Oh, damn it. There we go. Anyway, that's kind of cool. Let's see. But let me show you how to get these blocks into the game real quick. Let's see. So over here, there's this this basically under your assets directory, and this is like for your local planet right here. There's a blocks folder, and then you just place like in VoxGen, it generates that folder with a bunch of different Vox files in it, and then like the JSON file. You just drop that into this directory, and then you can set it up so that it like, you know, your inventory, you get them by default. And so otherwise you'd have to go into the world generation and place them so that people could find them, or have an entity that spawns them from crafting or whatever. But in any case, for right now, I just put them like default in your inventory. And so you just plop them in that directory. And so what happens is when you connect to a server, it downloads all these assets from the server using kind of like a virtual file system. And so that's how, like, when like a client can come in and connect to the server, it can have all the assets and play your world as if it was your world. So the without, you know, having all the stuff locally on their machine. This one, I believe, is the cock block. Which is a cock block. Which I believe is the same on all the sides. Something you notice is when people were building these giant 48 by 48s, they kind of expected them to be like that. But you know, when you're building them like in the game, you kind of want to use the 16 by 16 a bit more, so that like that looks more interesting. But if you build like the full 3, like another situation is funny, where this won't work, where like if you build like another layer on top, for example, the middle part gets repeated, as you can see, because that's just kind of how it's set up. But if you like destroy the bottom layer, then it kind of fixes itself. That's the general idea. Let's see, and this one I think was just basic geometry block, kind of neon colory. And here you have, looks like the sides were all the same. Maybe the bottom and the top are different? Yeah, the top's different. Punky was playing the game for the first time the other day. She had some fun getting it set up. But like how to make a tiling block. Okay, let me look at the questions. Does it only download the ones that are currently needed or everything at once? Currently, what it does is it preemptively downloads everything. But, you know, in the future, when we actually go, it like preemptively downloads everything that is necessary to get into that world. But in the future, it will download like on an as-needed basis. Yes, you can have dungeon instances which are different every time you enter them, sure. Suppose you'd have to do world gen uniquely for each individual then. That would be, I suppose it's possible. Should be possible. Maybe like if you put like each person like in its own section of the world and then generate it differently based on, you know, for each part. Like that would be the simplest way to go about it. Yes, giant. Was the block tiling thing explained at some point? No, but there was examples, and I hope that people could get that. Matt was supposed to make some, do a stream a few days ago, but he's just really late on that stuff, so he didn't get a chance to do it. Where he was supposed to explain, you know, everything like that. How will the oasis work? Do you spawn in your own oasis, or will be able to? Yeah, it's like a server. It's an MMO, so you can have lots of people on the same server at the same time. If you want to have your own like server that nobody else can go into, yeah, you could do that. You could say nope, you know, I don't want anybody else on my planet, and that's perfectly fine. Yes, 16 by 16 wasn't enough for the rock. Which I will get to, the rock block. This is a kind of a cool block because let's see if we can make this work. To demonstrate a particular feature of the game, because they only filled like the top part like half high or something. If I could build, that'd be nice. But let's see. So in this particular one, we're going to show off the fact that, like, you know, that there's actual collision with the actual voxels here, and it's not just like the blocks. Like you can actually walk up slopes. You can make any shape you like, and it'll just work. And you know, because that's actually a whole block there, as you can see from the outline. I don't know if you can see the square outline, but that's a whole block. But they're only actually filling just a tiny bit of it, and it works perfectly fine. They're like, I don't care. It doesn't care how you make the assets. And just to get the full 3x3 up so you guys can see the cool art. We're thinking that ladders will be implemented in a similar fashion where you don't have to specifically say what is a ladder and what is not a ladder. It'll just be like if there's handholds where your hands can go, you'll just climb up it. But we might also want to specify specifically, oh, this is meant to be a ladder or not. I don't know. But in any case, it should be pretty simple. I don't expect it to be complicated. Because maybe some things you specifically don't want people climbing up. But anyway, there's that block. I thought was pretty neato. Let's see, and the next one was the server block. Any questions on that one? We're thinking like left click is like whenever you left click, that's like the most common operation, whatever that is. If it's a gun, it should be firing the primary fire. Of course, it's totally dependent on what you're holding in your hand. Like for the Vox gun, left click and right clicking can be dependent on what's inside of it, as well as like with the pickaxe and the sword and stuff like that. We're planning on showing some cool new projectile weapons pretty soon. Should be pretty cool in an upcoming video release. And this is a server. Dual wielding, yeah. That's one option that we talked about, like where some things you can maybe hold in your left hand and one in your right, and like left click can go either to your left hand or your right hand or whatever. That's something that we definitely talked about, and we want to support it for sure. Beep, 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 beep. And this one I thought was really cool because it tiles really well, actually. You can build them in any shape and it still looks pretty okay. Fell off. This is that block. It's kind of like a Stardust block, or if I remember right, Stardust. Yeah, Stardust. Please show how the server block handles 4 width height. Okay, hold on. Let me look at the questions. Yeah, binds work just like they do in Quake. You can bind any key to any action. So you can switch them around if you want, or set up for a joystick, or it's totally configurable. Let's see. Please show how the server... I'm not sure I understand how that question is. It looks like Patrick is trapped as a white blob inside a blue cube. Don't understand that one either. Have you considered a more visible ghost block / building indicator? Yes, that has been discussed. Yeah, it's a good idea. We just haven't done it yet. Will there be a way to get to the edge of blocks without falling off? Yes. Yeah. Like, currently we don't have that ability, but I believe that's super important when you're building really large structures so you don't fall off accidentally. So yeah, you definitely want to have like the sneak where like you won't actually fall down on things. And that's not too hard to implement. It's actually pretty simple. Could you show how well the server block tiles at 4x4x4? Sure. What was this one? 4x4. 2, 3, 4. So actually, I'm holding a block entity in my hand right now, and it works just the same way like a weapon does. Where, you know, a weapon gets like the primary action from the player saying, hey, I'm doing something with you, and and it just performs its operation, which is place a block, basically. So yeah, it actually works pretty well. The server block tile is pretty good, I would say. I like the network ports. Is that a network port? What is that? Could just be a grill. Still, it's cool. Except for that situation, I think. But you can't just fix everything. Can I still send in a block? Yeah, sure. Let's see. I can't find much about... Exactly. There's like no documentation. Welcome to LLVM. The documentation is the code in LLVM, so you kind of just have to nose your way around it. I think this one is the next one up on the list. Which is a giant question mark. It's like a coin block. It's pretty awesome. I'm getting better at that part. And then this one, the best for last. I don't know if it's the best, but it's certainly the funniest, in my opinion. It's the rock block. And it might not be what you expect. Anybody guess what it is? Oh yeah, and the question mark's reversed. But I think that's actually an engine bug. I'm not sure that's an actual bug. And Matt was pointing something like that. It's the rock. Which, when you think rock block, that's not the first thing that comes to mind. You'd expect rocks. But yeah, it's funny. That's just great. Yep, pretty good. So does anybody have any questions? Anything for me to try, or anything you want to see? Or it's, interesting, or... What's under it? Oh, yeah. That's a good question. Let's see. We're going to have to build one in the air. So we can get under it. Go a little bit higher. I actually have a limited number of blocks. There's like 500 of them currently in this stack. Just pretty hilarious by itself. That's a screenshot. But let's see. Yes, there's the bottom. Right. Yeah, the bunk bed, we can go over that and how that works in VoxGen, because I don't think that was very clear to most people. So the bunk bed, which I do not have in my inventory because I took it out. Let's see if I can make that happen. As in... So I could show you how that works. So here is the bed Vox. Basically with VoxGen you could also import like a 48 by 48 Vox file that you built in Magic Voxel, for example, and you could do ridiculous things like beds that you can't do with like just like a strict depth map, which is what you would normally paint. So you could do all kinds of interiors and shapes that are just, you know, normally impossible, and you could do all sorts of things like that. I thought that was a pretty good example of like kind of, we have other examples of crazy stuff, but I thought the bed would be the most interesting to people. Yeah, let me get that sand castle going there. downloads folder? Where's the downloads folder? It's also like we don't actually make all of our blocks in VoxGen. It's just like the simplest tool that we have. We also have like a different tool where the connections between the pieces are more explicit, and you could do more interesting kinds of like changes than just something simple like this. All right. Was it, oh, refresh. I don't know how to do that. Let's say blocks, sandcastle. Two. Wait. And we'll give it the right flags because we probably need to do that. And then I need to take this over here and plop it into the placeable so it has a correct icon. Alright. Now let's restart the game. Yeah, that would, releasing the source code to VoxGen would certainly probably be a great idea. Right now, it's literally something I coded up like on the drive home from AGDQ earlier this year. So it's, you know, maybe like a day or two of work. But you know, it's functional, it works and stuff like that. No, we don't use VoxGen for all the blocks. We just use it for the simple stuff because it's easier. We use yes, we have gamepad support. We're going to try to open source as much as we reasonably can. Especially tools-wise, because, you know, it's like the people who use the tools know more about what the tools should do than the people that make the tools. And so, and sometimes those people can also be programmers. And so, so anyway, so those ideally are the people that you really want, like, improving the tools because they know exactly what they need to do in order to make it better. So yeah, so, you know, I'd really like to open source, you know, as much as I reasonably can. But gamepad, the way gamepads work is the same way that anything else works in the game. Like, because it's just a binding thing, you could do, like, you know, like bind joy 1 with, you know, jump or something like that. I don't know which one jump is. But then, like, whenever you press joy 1 on the joypad, it'll just jump. And like, because, you know, it's just a generic system like Quake. So it does exactly what you'd expect. But the sandcastle block is here now. Which was made, I believe, and like, of course, like, as I was saying, you know, like, you could just, those are actual things that you can collide with, and you can walk up them, because they're small enough to be stairs. Let's see if I can get this working right. And then you can make a sandcastle. You can do all sorts of different shapes of the sandcastle. Actually, this block set's kind of cool because you can do... It's a cool idea. You can kind of create different shapes and have it do different things. Let's see. That's pretty awesome. I like this block set. This is a good one. It's kind of cool. And then, do I have any other blocks we can put on top? Yeah, it's fine for me. No, so what it does is it uses some clever logic to combine various different parts of the 48 by 48 by 48 that you see in VoxGen to make all the various different possible combinations, and then when you put them in game, when you start using them, you'll see, you know, how you can kind of use this to interesting effect, like this. Like, this is totally cool. But that's how that kind of works. I mean, it's certainly a different way to build, a different way to think about making content, and certainly, like, since I've never seen anything quite like this before, this is pretty cool too. But yeah. That's right, yeah, it combines parts of it together. The Stardust block is pretty awesome. So you want to see what the stars block looks like when we make interesting combinations with it. I think that's basically what I'm getting at. Let's see, what can we build with the stars block? I don't know. It would probably be kind of cool as like a ceiling in a house. At least that's what I was thinking. Like, you can kind of make it look pretty cool, especially in VR, because in VR everything feels much more real. Oh, I'm gonna put a stars block on top. Here you go. Cool. I'm actually in kind of God mode. I can't die. So I'm just going to do something really stupid. Show you a little bit around the floating islands, I guess. Over here is an og block. I think I showed this to you last time. Punk was very upset at the og block because she couldn't figure out how to catch it. Because it like climbs mountains and everything. Right, exactly. Here's some mushrooms. This is one of my more interesting maps to explore. But let's see. But anyway. Right. So next week, in Make Something Voxelnauts, we're going to be making creatures. So should be pretty cool. Now creatures are take a lot more programming effort, so we're not going to be able to do as many of them. So I apologize if we won't be able to get everybody's creatures in. But still, please submit. It should be fun, and I will try to get as many as I possibly can in, and try to do some hopefully unique behaviors for all of them, and that should be pretty fun. I'm going to talk to John Sue about possibly releasing the animation tool if anybody wants to try their hand out with that. If not, you know, we could easily put together flip books if people want to do flip books for various different actions. Meaning, a flip book means like display one Vox file after another in sequence to perform an animation. Or we can do any combination thereof, actually. But we'll have some fun with that. It should be pretty cool. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, jeez. Is it over here? No. Oh, I'm lost already. I have no idea where the sandcastle went. Oh, there it is. There it is. I found it. And so we were showing basically how you can build like interesting shapes with things you wouldn't expect. Yeah, exactly, like a sprite sheet. If that is a good question, like how do you want to do, like, it'd be really hard to do programming without being able to test your work. So I was thinking I'd just wing it on the fly. But if you have something specific you'd like to maybe see it do, I can consider how much time it would take for me to do, and then maybe we can get it in. waypoint map locations. Yeah. One of the things I really liked about Cube World was if you go into their map, like how they had like named regions of the map and stuff like that. Cube World is an awesome game. It's a shame nobody's making it anymore. But I really like how they had these like creatively named like portions of the map, totally procedurally done. That was really cool. I'd like to bring that element into Voxelnauts because, as well as many other things that were in Cube World. But yeah. Why don't you make retro mod on your stream so newcomers can see? What does that mean? Oh, you can't buy Cube World anymore even? Oh. Well, that's a shame. If you're going to do animations, then you would want to put them in separate Vox files, but if you're just going to do flipbooks, you want them all in the same Vox file, because, I mean, I could place them procedurally, but that would take way too long, and I don't think anybody's going to want to watch me do that. But I'll see if I can get you the animation tool, assuming Jansu's okay with that. It's a little crude, but it works. Possibly. You know, the question is, are we worried about reaching the pledge goal? Like, we need more gaming coverage, like gaming website coverage. That's really what we're missing right now. Because as soon as you fall off, like Kickstarter's like new page, your traffic to your Kickstarter page goes kind of like way down. And the further the time goes, the further that will happen. Now, sometimes you get staff picked in the middle, which we're hoping we do, which helps give you a bump. But really, we need like more gaming news websites. We need more people to go out and spread the word. Specifically, like if you have a gaming website that you think would be should cover our game, you know, find their editors, tweet them, email them, help us out. You know, it's very hard to get through their spam filters, but maybe if there's 10 different emails from 10 different people all telling them, hey, you need to check out this game, maybe they actually will. It'll be really cool and very helpful. Yeah, there are semi-transparent voxels, for example, like the water. And there's also reflective. Damn it. Nice. It's kind of like a tiki face or something. Yeah, we really need everyone's help. It's really hard to get the attention of gaming press, and so it's awesome. Cool. Well, I'm gonna grab some lunch, and we'll. At the moment, we're not in risk of losing funding, of not making the goal. We're not like at serious risk of that, but But if we don't get more news websites covering us, then we certainly will be. Cool. Anyway, I'm grab some lunch. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I'll catch you guys later. So I'll see you on IRC a bit later today, and thanks for watching. All right. Bye, everyone.